Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei was trained by legendary Lucifer Morningstar movie. Before we start, please go support KingCrownedClown for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. What would you do if your teacher was the legendary playboy and life of the party? Their wisdom would make you a seducer for women. Hyoudou Issei understands now. Clarification. Harem. Issei Badis. Parties. Unfaithful Issei. Passing of the torch from Lucifer to Issei. Bucking everything that gets in their way. Young. Mature. Married, I don't know. Friends. Rivals. Deck. Prologue. Issei walks to a bar at night. Since a mistake with his girls cost him his relationships with them. He wants to drink. But when he enters, he sees everything upside down and sees a man singing at a piano. That's where his story begins when he sees it. Lucifer Morningstar. Knowing his art. It was night and the moonlight invaded those people who were walking very quietly there. Until. The peculiar car was going at high speed all over Kuo. The police department was notified and a mobile unit was dispatched. Thanks to the cameras, the officer was able to locate the car and its driver. After driving a few meters, he realized he was probably traveling at 200 kilometers per hour. When he didn't see it stopping, he accelerated his vehicle further until he managed to get it to stop. The officer quickly got out of his vehicle, brandishing his weapon and forcing the driver to exit his vehicle. The person got out of the vehicle. Hands up, I forced him, the officer forced him. He ignored it and said. There's some official problem. He takes a good look at him and notices that he was a young man around 17. He knows how fast he was going. Registration and permit. No, but we can fix it. The officer thought he'd get a license or something. But what he saw still left him furious. The boy pulled out a large wad of bills. I'm not talking yen, but dollars. Is he going to bribe me? Yes, of course. He holds up the bills and the officer looks at him. It's not enough, I'll give you more. That's against the law. He laughs and says. People are very particular about the law. He looks at him and says. You sometimes break the law, staring at him. For some reason, the officer responds. Sometimes I turn on my siren and speed for no reason, just because I can. True, and why not? It's fun. It's great to get away with it. Yes, said the officer laughing. This one notices what he said. Don't worry, officer, for a few months now people have been confessing things to me, those dirty, dark secrets that are in their minds are a gift. The officer is still looking at the money. The boy says. Is he tempted to keep this? He nods. Wait for the authorization, it's yours, buy yourself something nice. You deserve it, the officer takes the money and looks at it. If you don't mind, I have to go on my way. Yeah, of course, listen. Have a nice night. You too, officer. You too. He starts the vehicle and turns up the music as he continues on his way. Some time later. What took you so long, kid? What took you so long? Asked a man in his 30s with black hair, a malicious smile, and a somewhat haughty tone of voice mixed with self-centeredness. Let's just say he played with the law. Hey, if you messed with that officer again and they want to close the club again, you'll pay the fine. It's not that. In that case, you brought it. You distrusted me. Of course not, my little pupil. He laughs and they enter a building. As he goes down the stairs, the man speaks and says. By the way, that green-haired girl came looking for you, and when she didn't find you, she left a message. She said you would understand. What did he say? That she'll hit you the next time you leave her alone like you did that time. But I left him a message that said. I'll call you. Issei, what do you do in your free time? Same as your teacher. Hey, I drink for pleasure. Oh, the other thing. Very well, my little apprentice. By the way, I heard rumors that you slept with someone's mom. It was just a one-time thing. Boy, they really make a big deal out of that. Well. Tonight you're in charge of playing the piano. Of course, teacher. What will you do? I'll go out for a while, you'll be in charge while I'm gone. 2. Why does Issei call this guy master? What did Issei do for a year next to this guy? The devil. 2 months since they left home and moved to the underworld. I'm so pathetic. I wish there was a way to get them back. But what will I do? I need help. 3 months had passed since the breakup of the war hero and the most beautiful and voluptuous women of the underworld in heaven. Hyoudou Issei disappeared for a while. More precisely, a year and a half. When they saw him again. He had changed in every way. He stopped being the cheerful, kind boy everyone knew. He became a boastful, arrogant, womanizing, self-absorbed man with such a huge ego. What happened to you? I said you laughed in tears when you saw him asleep in his room with 2 naked girls. Time ago. 1 year ago. Issei arrived at a bar called Luxure. Those who went returned claiming that this place was paradise. It was out of curiosity, since I was trying not to think about the girls. Everything changed that night. She met that guy and her world changed overnight. So you are the devil from another world. That's how it is. But how? My stupid mother created a new universe. But what made me angry was that she also created a me. But a good version. What's wrong with that? That idiot came into my world and ruined everything. Those who feared me no longer do so. And what are you looking for from her? I'll know when I see her and take her to my father. Evil laugh. Tell me about yourself, kid. You're not afraid of me, and something about you catches my attention. Or I know. What is it that you most desire? I don't know, said Issei, lowering his head. Wow, my look didn't work on you. That makes me even more curious. Tell me about yourself. Haha, you're funny. I know. Let's make a deal. What kind of deal? I, the great Lucifer, will make you my pupil if you help me find my mother and skin her alive. You accept by shaking hands. I accept. We have a deal, Hyoudou Issei. Do. Now. Tell me about this world and your abilities. A chat later. I see. It's funny that God died here. And about your skills. That one you called bilingual, I don't know what. Even better. I'll help you get people to tell you what you want. We'll hone that to the limit. Let's go. Where to? Where do you think? You'll be working here and your attire should be the best. PFF, it would already seem like I'm offering gay services with you dressed like that. You drive, as he throws the keys to her. But I don't know how to drive. Jump. A clothing, foolish in love, virgin, and now this. Seriously, if you need my help. Days later. Kid. This here will be your homework. I really have to do that. That's how it is. If you want to be like me. You'll do that. But I don't want to be unfaithful to them. Come on. They broke up with you and you don't want to be unfaithful even when you're nothing. That is. Kid. If you want them back, you'll do everything I say. You accepted that in the deal. Do. I'll teach you how to be an expert seducer. A good drinker. The life of the party. And best of all. A non-virgin. What you will have to do is the following. The next morning. Issei arrived at the academy and, upon closer inspection, people were murmuring. Among them were the following. That's Hyoudou. Seriously, the perverted beast Kuo was that handsome. He's up to something. It's very beautiful. If he looks at me like that, I'll end up forgiving him for everything he's done. Apparently, a change of look and a new wardrobe change made him be seen in a good light at the academy. Despite looking calm on the outside. He was burning with nervousness inside. No one gets used to change overnight, and even worse if he once looked at women perversely. For them to see him like he once saw them is strange. Young Hyoudou, you are causing a stir at the academy. Come to the teacher's lounge after 3 classes. Issei, Traga and Siko. Since new students and a young teacher arrived. He's had several crushes. But especially for this teacher. If what Lucifer said is true, I'll have to seduce all my teachers and bribe all the masters to get out of the academy for a while. But it will work with her. Every time she looks at someone. She intimidates everyone around her, but I've seen that she cares about everyone. Maybe she acts like this so they don't see the real her sensei. Some time later. I'm sorry, but I went through a breakup a few days ago and my mentor told me that this would be a change. It was for the best. But. Forget it. Sensei. Yes, it happens, Hyoudou-kun. What do you want most? Issei said, seeing through his heart. I wish. The little devil loosen Kuo. It's been over a week since I completed my first assignment that Lucifer sensei gave me. Which was to seduce my school teachers to make me absent from the academic cycle until the end of 3rd grade. It turns out that my teacher, whom everyone fears, is actually very sweet. I'm talking about Kurisu Mafayu, who looked at me with an angry look. I just smile at that look. Who would have thought that my first sexual experience would be with someone as cute and tender as her? Who turned out to be just like me, a 23-year-old single teacher and, above all, still a virgin. I smile and wink at him. She changes her angry expression to a tender and blushing one. Later on. Jim. Luo. Why do you make me be in this position? I just wanted to see that hexy body of yours. Sensei, I say proudly. Besides, it's dangerous to do it here. What if someone sees us? Don't worry, I've got everything under control. I smile and feel a presence behind us. I know he's the perverted gymnastic sensei. I bet he's recording us so he can blackmail Mafayu and steal her from me. Being with sensei has made me a little cruel. I hope he's ready to see how I do it to him. Seriously, let's do it here. I smile and take off her clothes and throw her on a mat. I thought you would reject me that time, but I see that you are very docile and a little submissive. Hia. And that makes me hot. You've been more assertive since then. You have a great ass. How could you still be a virgin? You have this big beautiful body that drives anyone who sees you crazy. Nulgata. You even became someone who gives in to what I tell you to do. Moo. It's just that I. No. Hahaha. You're so sweet, sensei. It makes me want to abuse you even more. One day later. Can you tell me why I'm here, sensei? Issei said, looking at his physics teacher. You see, kid. I saw something a few days ago and the question. How willing are you to keep me silent? What are you taking about? Who? So you're going to play innocent. He takes out his cell phone and shows it to me. I passed by the gym the other day and I noticed that. You and Mafai sensei. If management finds out about this. It would ruin her career. So. How willing are you to help her? He smiles somewhat arrogantly. Issei continues watching the video and says. Could you send me that copy? I think I made an effort to do it that day. I'll need something to be proud of. You're serious? You really don't care? Because we're not getting to the point. What does sensei want most? Looking into his eyes. I wish I had $10,000 and could travel to Disneyland. Issei smiles. Really, that's what you want? Very well. Let's make a deal, sensei. I'll give you the money, but in return, you'll owe me a favor. I'm sorry. Whatever I ask for will be obsolete. We have a deal. Shaking hands. He hesitates, but in the end gives in to the deal and takes Issei's hand. Issei smiles and says. Excellent. If you'll excuse me, a girl with glasses is waiting for me in the locker room. Bye, sensei. Issei says goodbye with an arrogant smile. On the other side of the world. EXD. I really plan to leave school on a whim just to punish Issei. Ani-sama. Issei must learn how to treat us. This will make him see how much he needs us. I hope you are right. Human world. So, how many girls have you been a pupil with? The 3 teachers, 2 of my classmates and 5 girls from the literature club. Excellent boy. What do you think about going to the strip club? I heard about a girl who heard about you and wants to meet you. Issei laughs and says. I'll drive. Lucy throws him the keys and they head towards that side of town. Uobakasaji. How does he want to ask Asia out knowing that he has us? Blues. That's unfair to Hyoudou Issei. Even though he loves her and wants Saji as a friend, he does that to her. Or not. We're late for work. I just hope Kaichu doesn't find out we're bartenders at that club. Otherwise, she'd scold us. Let's go, Haruko. So. Asia-chan broke up with Issei because you don't want to go out with me. Saji-kun, I love you as a friend. Also, Momo and Haruko-san love you. Yes, really, you didn't realize that both of them are in love with you. Besides, I only love Issei-san, and despite being the way he is. I love him with all my being, and despite being like this, I promise to be faithful to him and be only his. You're right, Asia. I'm sorry. Please don't talk to Issei about this. It'll make me look bad to him. Too. Wow, this place is really great. Look at all those girls. Is it me or are they looking at both of us? It's obvious, kid. When you see a well-dressed adult and child in this place. If you look closely. Almost everyone here looks like an idiot. That's why no one pays attention to them. Come on. The day's challenge is to drink until you lose yourself. Okay. I'll get the drinks. I'm going for the bunny, said Lucifer, going for the girls. Issei orders drinks. But at that. Issei. Momo-san, Haruko-san. Shock. Touch the soul. The haha laughing Issei with a glass in his hand. It's not that you're upset, he's your friend. I'd be upset about what he's doing to you, Momo said. A friend wouldn't invite their ex or whatever that is now. So I don't think he's my friend. I thought we were, but I see he didn't see it that way. And what will you do? Nothing. Hey? We're done, it's only fair that she does what she wants. The important question here is, what are Momo-chan, Haruko-chan doing here working? It's a normal tone. Eduo. There's no need to say anything, I'm just annoying them. Everyone has their problems, and sometimes it's better to understand before judging, he said, sipping a glass of rum. Thanks for the drink, I must go to my teacher. Azazel-sensei came, said Momo. No. My true master, that's just one who has no balls. He only boasts about the women he's had, but the fact is that I've never met one of his. I now doubt his sexuality. Issei laughed at what he had just said. They both said when they saw how he spoke about the fallen leader. Hey, see, is that the one I was telling you about? Issei smiles and says. Okay, Momo-chan, Haruko-chan, duty calls. He adjusts his suit and heads over there. Momo and Haruko didn't want to see what he was doing, so they decided to do their own thing. Until 1 hour later. I have to take these drinks to the private room, what will I do if Issei-san is in it and me, she said embarrassedly. If that's the case, I'll go with you. Thanks Momo-san. We are friends. They both walk with drinks and arrive at the private room and enter. They thought they would see a scene wherein Issei was riding a stripper, but the reality was that. In 236. Both women watched him play the piano with passion. His smile showed that he was truly fine and wasn't feeling bad about his breakup with his mistress's friends. They both became interested in the melodies he played and without realizing it, they spent 5 minutes listening to him play. Until they realized that they had already taken too long. Momo stepped forward and left her drinks there. Issei noticed their stares 5 minutes ago. He smiled when he learned they were also interested in playing the piano. Come, he called both women. Us. Issei nods. He offers them a seat. He takes Momo's hand and makes his fingertips play the basic musical scores. Do, mi, fa, sol, la, si. And so on with the help of Haruko. Start that way and maybe later you'll play like I do. They both nod with a smile and leave the room. And well, child. What did I do? Nothing, you're just on the right track. What are you talking about? You'll know in due time, girls. 3 girls take Lucifer and leave. I'll be back in a few minutes. Have fun, give this guy a smile knowing he's going to get that hexy dancer. 1 hour later. Momo and Haruko were humming along to the sounds they made with the piano a while ago. Until they both receive a message from a certain blonde. Chat. Hi Momo. I just wanted to tell you that if one of these days you want to go out with me on a date. Chat. Hi Haruko. I wanted to tell you that if you ever want to go for a walk around the park, I would love to go with you alone. When they finished reading, something made their blood boil with anger. Because now he wants to do this. I'm sure Asia-san rejected him and thinks we're second-rate food. Let's not respond to their provocations. We may want to, but even a woman has dignity when she's treated that way. You're right. At first she ignored us and told us she didn't want to go out with us, and now she's probably rejected him and thinks she'll have a chance. Go to hell Genshiru Saji, they both said angrily. Elsewhere. I hope they answer sooner, as I didn't realize before. I hope I'm doing the right thing. Sorry, buddy. Inviting Asia wasn't manly. I know. Next time I'll invite you to the video games. He laughs and goes home. Later on. That Lucifer left without me. Well, at least he left me the car. He gets into the car and leaves the parking lot. He notices and sees both girls walking down the street from a while ago. This one goes over there and lowers the window. He whistles, capturing both of their attention. Come on in, I'll take you home. Don't worry, we know how to take care of ourselves. I know, but they are still ladies. Come on. This one opens the door like a gentleman. They both get in, but those types of cars only fit 2. They got in together. He closes the door from the outside and returns to the car. We didn't know you had such luxurious cars, Hyoudou. Just to say. And yes, since I'm a bar manager, the owner thought having a car like that was more my style. Bar manager? Yes, they know luxury. The bar that arrived just 2 years ago and is now #1 in all of Japan. That's how it is. It's not the one where only rich people go. They sure do know him. I was heading there, they want to go with me, as my special guests. We really can. Sure, unless they have to get home early, I smile. Both are embarrassed to think that they are still girls at home, which they are. But they didn't want to look bad. So both accept. He laughs and accelerates with everything towards luxury. My damn ideas. As you know. This is starting to get good. Some people said no. But you know what? As a Wattpad writer, I'm inspired by the comments. And I've seen that you like this. You know. Here I think I can do it. You may have seen the Hexy teacher from the Anime Bakutachi wa Benkyu appear. You'll know. I want to include all those girls here and more. Regarding MILF women that Issei would sleep with, I have. This La Bale. Reason? Her son stole her conquest from Issei. One day in the human world, he was visiting his parents and ended up running into her. He invited her for a coffee, and as the days passed, her husband noticed her beauty and fell in love with her. Yes. The one who treated her and Sarared badly. Imagine what I'll do. It's not NTR. That's justifiable. On the other side. I want other MILFs. But I don't have anyone. If you'd like to comment and leave your post with a short story about why the mini Morningstar should screw other people's mothers. I'd love for you to do so. And the other. You saw that Saji was a bastard for inviting his supposed best friend's ex. You know what happens after the Touch the Soul episode, right? Well, those were my damn arguments. And you know. Hovid is not known to be good about it. Even so, take care of yourselves, guys. They have to live. See the new animes that are coming. BBS. These fix and more. You know. I.e. everything remains in the Lux. Issei arrived at a large building. Momo and Raruko had never been to that area before, as it was known that only wealthy or powerful people visited these places. Issei arrived and got out of the car. Momo and Raruko didn't understand how to open the door. But Issei walked over to their door and opened it for them. I take Momo's hand so she could leave just like I took Raruko's hand. Good evening, sir. I see you have companions tonight. That's right, they are my guests of honor. Issei gives her the keys and walks. Both of them didn't want to make him look bad, so Momo took an arm like Raruko and they walked. The doors opened and Issei walked in. He was greeted by the staff or the people who lived there. The three of them arrived at the elevator area and went to the top floor of the building. Upon arrival, the elevator doors opened and Issei and company stepped out. They walked through some corridors. As I walked down the hall, they both noticed some plaques on the wall. The first one said. Each step became darker and darker it looked. But other plaques on the wall were illuminated. They both looked at Issei. He looked at them and smiled and said. We are now a few meters away from arriving. They nod and walk past where another plaque was. Rule 1. Both of them were freaked out by that. Maybe the owner was a supernatural being. They both read everything and understood that this bar was incredible. You've never seen it before. But just having a set of rules like that. It was brilliant. The doors opened before Issei. This was welcomed by all the people who raised their glasses in a sign of respect. On stage someone was singing and what a voice. The rhythm was sensual. The girls were dancing and what a show. Issei walked alongside both girls who were holding his arm to the stairs more exactly. The VIP area. Issei, it's good that we're here. Of course, this is your first time visiting this bar. So relax and order whatever you want. The waiter walked towards the VIP area with a glass of wine. Issei took it from the tray and the waiter left. Both of them were unsure whether to order or not. But in the end they were convinced by Issei. They were chatting for a while. There was laughter and a lot of interest on their part. Well, who would have imagined that the most hated boy in the academy was someone so interesting? Halfway through the show, someone playing the piano hurt his hand. Issei got angry at the lack of professionalism. If you allow me, girls, I'll be right back. Issei unbuttoned the buttons on his suit and walked over to the piano. If I feel. The lights went out and the only ones left were those that illuminated him and the piano. People saw him. They were going to delight in his good talent. After playing, the crowd applauded. The drink was left for him. Momo and her friend Raruko were more than surprised. She had a beautiful voice. But then someone touched his shoulders. Looking back, there was a large, heavy person smiling at them. He looked to be in his 50s or so. I see you are alone, ladies. Would you like to keep me company tonight? He said arrogantly. We are sorry but. You reject my offer, bitch. Don't you know who I am? I'm someone in the Prime Minister's cabinet. You should be happy that someone like me is paying attention to someone like you, stupid. Oh. That person forgot the most important rule of the bar. Rule 2 of Lux. Threatening inside the bar is not allowed. That man turned around and his eyes were horrified when he saw the manager and almost owner of the luxury hotel there. I see you're bothering my guests of honor. She was scared to find out that they were special guests and wanted to apologize, but Issei didn't even allow her to speak. I see that someone broke the rules and not only that. He threatened me inside the bar and insulted my guests. I think there will be an exile tonight. No, please, I didn't know they were your friends. I'll pay the fine, but please don't banish me. Dave screamed Issei. Yes, sir. Put up the plaque with his picture. There will be a reward on his head. That man was terrified and knew he wasn't joking. At that moment he started running at full speed from the luxury. I'm sorry about that just now. He didn't do anything to her, he said worriedly. No, you came at the right time. I'm sorry to leave you alone. Don't worry, you don't need to apologize. We're more than grateful. That way, that man won't do anything anymore. But you agree, he said he was in the Prime Minister's office. I'm sure he won't do anything. Calm down. Just between us. The Prime Minister owes me a favor. So don't mention it. Let's go, he said, shaking their hands. Where to? The dance. They thought going to a bar and drinking was all it was. Well, I don't think so. Here, people dance. But we don't know. I showed them, giving them a big smile that made them both accept and shake hands. Issei was walking down with both girls who were holding his hand and were walking down from the VIP area to the stage. The music was playing. But it changed when he saw that the boss was going to do something. He changed the music. The people made way and it began to move. Both understood the steps and little by little they were understanding. The music ended. They both smiled and gained more confidence towards Issei. They walked towards the bar, where a drink was waiting for them each. Night was falling, but not on Luxurious. Rather, night was falling on Luxurious and its guests. Momo, Haruko and Issei were sitting watching people having fun. Issei was in the middle of both of them. Momo saw his free hand and didn't think twice before grabbing his hand, linking it with her own. Haruko saw everything dark and no one saw. And in the same way she took her other hand free from Issei. This one was not surprised in the least. Haruko, without thinking and without her friend seeing, took his face and kissed him. After finishing the kiss she rested her head on his shoulder. Issei tasted her lips for that kiss. Momo leaned her head on his shoulder and looked into his eyes. Issei la miro. They both stared at each other for a few seconds. So that both of them finally brought their faces closer and ended up kissing each other on the lips. Both of them stood on his shoulders while smiling and blushing deeply. Great teachings. Night was falling, but not on Luxurious. Rather, night was falling on Luxurious and its guests. Momo, Haruko and Issei were sitting watching people having fun. Issei was in the middle of both of them. Momo saw his free hand and didn't think twice before grabbing his hand, linking it with her own. Haruko saw everything dark and no one saw. And in the same way she took her other hand free from Issei. This one was not surprised in the least. Haruko, without thinking and without her friend seeing, took his face and kissed him. After finishing the kiss she rested her head on his shoulder. Issei tasted her lips for that kiss. Momo leaned her head on his shoulder and looked into his eyes. Issei la miro. They both stared at each other for a few seconds. So that both of them finally brought their faces closer and ended up kissing each other on the lips. Both of them stood on his shoulders while smiling and blushing deeply. I spent more time at night. Both women, so to speak, didn't want to be separated from him. Take it as you will, but both of them saw something beyond what they once saw for him long ago. He was comforting. The gentleman. The good host. The connoisseur. He was perfect. But there was just one problem here. They both had almost the same thoughts. The question here was that they both wanted it for themselves and just wanted to be the only one. Of Momo. Rias, Gremory and her entourage and friends finished him off. Seen today. It sounds rushed. Issei is very handsome and I know there is competition. A single guy with a bright future, a student and manager of the best bar in Japan, with a favor from the Prime Minister. Who wouldn't fall for him? If they didn't want it. I would. Even if I walked past whoever it was, even if it was my best friend turning to look at Haruko. Ah, Haruko. I'm a half-human demon. And right now I have a whim, you could say that. Right now, I want something just for me and no one else. Turning to look into Issei's eyes. Who smiles at him and winks at him. Saji despised me for Asia. I don't hate her or anything. But she was very foolish to have let someone like Issei go. No me contender. If I saw at work today that Issei-sen is a womanizer, it means I'll have competition. It doesn't matter if it's for my best friend. Watching Momo. Both of them lock eyes. Just by looking at each other they give each other a smile. Vinpav. Oh damn. Look at the time. Something's wrong, Issei, both women said. It's very late and you have homes. I'm sorry, but I have to take you home. They said it a while ago. They're still homemakers and I respect that. Come on, I'll take you home. But don't worry. You can come back another day when the weather is calmer and better. Luxure isn't going anywhere. Alright. Don't worry. I'm really glad you came. Some nights it's lonely up here with no company. They both smile. Let's go, he said, giving his hands to both of them. They smile and take it as they walk down the stairs and people make way for them. Some time later. You don't have to drop me off at my front door. I insist, said Issei to Momo, who laughed in shame. They both walked to the door. I really had fun today, thanks for being such a gentleman, said Momo. No need to be thankful. See you another day when we're more relaxed. Feel free to visit Luxure. I've given the receptionist directions so he can let you in. You know, about today, she said sadly. Today's thing, he said without understanding. That, the kiss. Hey. Don't worry, we're just going with the flow. I understand. To tell the truth, I liked it. Momo looks up and looks into his eyes and little by little they get closer again and end up kissing. The kiss ended and she went into the house. She'd be too embarrassed to say anything. But she'd already made that clear. Issei turned around and walked over to the car where his other companion for that day was waiting. It took a while, don't you think? She seemed jealous in her tone of voice. Not to make things worse. Issei told the truth. If there's one thing Lucifer taught him, it was not to lie or tell half-truths, but never to lie to a woman. Baruko didn't expect that and there was a lot of silence on the way. Upon reaching the destination and when Issei got out of the vehicle, Baruko spoke. Or rather, she took off her seatbelt and moved. Issei's legs are gone. Needless to say. She bravely took his face and kissed him. You could say that kiss was longer than the one Momo gave this one. A lot of time passed and both of them were starting to increase their intensity, if by that we mean that they both wanted to do it. Momo unbuttoned her shirt and was about to take it off. This stopped her. I'm glad to know that you want to get to that point. But we know that's not the case here. Outside your home, it would be disrespectful. Although I'm excited to do it here. You know you don't want to enjoy that experience like this. But there is always a time and a season. But. Issei shut her up with a kiss. That convinced you. Hi, she said blushing. You tore your shirt. Don't worry. I have more at home. Yes. But if they see you like this, they'll question you. What are you doing? She said blushing when she saw him take off his. It's not obvious, he said, giving her his. Put it on, it's cold. She smelled them and smiled. Thank you. This has been one of the best days of my entire life. Don't worry, come visit me sometime. You have access to luxury passes. Thank you. She stood on tiptoe and gave him a kiss. I had fun today. Rest, he said walking to the car. Issei arrived home. He comes in and goes up the stairs. When he arrives in the room, he lies down. But someone covers his eyes and says in a distorted feminine voice. Who am I, rubbing her breasts on my back? Desiru, I didn't know a teacher was assigned to dissect her students. He said, smiling. But he quickly takes his hands off her and throws her onto the bed. She stays below and he stays above. How did you know it was me? The madman recognizes his little Red Riding Hood. Moo. Issei spins with her and they fall while very explicit sounds begin to play. Trailer. What the? Seriously? You're bucking with me. As it is, she is not my wife nor is she her mother. Because of this idiot I didn't finish the bathroom that time. You're breaking my balls, Issei said mentally. I heard about this place and wanted to have some fun. It's been years since Son of a bitch. I'll help you. You wait. I came here to make a contract and ended up helping, but I'm almost done and I'm leaving here, Issei lied. PSSS, he doesn't want anyone to know this was his current residence or getaway spot. That bastard. How did I not see that coming? Wait, that's true. I can do it. Yes. Issei remembers and still savors that hot bath he took with Grafia. He could have finished the job if it weren't for Rias. Thinking about it only pisses him off. But it's never too late. So Issei. What's up, teacher? Have you found out anything about that? Yes. There's going to be a multi-million-dollar auction and I already have the places for both of us. You know what that means. Trip to Vegas. What did you do, he said. Looking seriously at Issei. I didn't do anything. I don't even know who their leader is and I don't know why they want me. You are, said Issei seriously. So if I do what you say, you'll give up your invasion. What one should do for one's people, he said, being subdued by her. Hahaha. Better yet. If you stop attacking me, I'll keep coming here. In your bed, with you and me. Have you felt this pleasure before? Shall you see it? You loved it. Come on, accept it and I'll gladly continue giving this cute ass what it deserves, giving it a spanking. Issei, the imp of Kuo. Days passed. Issei continued messaging both girls. Despite not having plans or anything yet, they talked about everything and got to know each other better. He was on the balcony of the Lux, watching the sunset and staring at his city. It's been a long time since I've breathed that air of tranquility. He finishes his drink and heads into the bar, where there was apparently good music and a great atmosphere. This one sits at the bar. As he does so, two ordinary girls climb up onto the bar and start doing a dance just for him. He smiles and orders more drinks for himself. The girls knew how to dance, one of them was Silver. She got off the bar and started rubbing herself against Issei's body. The other one didn't stay behind and clung to his back and started rubbing her breasts on his back while the other girl shook her hips in front of him. He finished his drink. He grabbed both of them by the hand and led them up to the room. The next morning. He woke up and both women who had slept with him were still at his side. He was about to get up, but laziness won and he went back to sleep. Well, what a night it was. After about 4 hours later. He stood up and looked around and there was no one there. He walked up to the bar and poured himself a coffee. He noticed that in the next room, it sounded like an orgy or something was going on. The moans were what woke him up. I look at the calendar and it was true. It was the week when Lucy had her famous orgies. He yawns and heads back to his room to take a shower and head to school. The day was one of his last days of partying, as he still has to finish his school problems. He already bribed 3 teachers. He already slept with his literature teacher. The math one. Pursue his first adventure in modern science. Sciences. History. Foreign language. He slept with the director's daughter, which didn't help at all, but she was still really hot. There were only 3 subjects left, well 2. Well, since Ross finished it, she hasn't attended the academy. So yes, only 2. Damn, I should have noticed, I have 10 minutes to get there. If I walk, it's 15 minutes. But if I go by car, 7 minutes and 40 seconds. But what if? He laughs and says. Lucy might not come out, so I don't see a problem with it. He puts on his clothes and takes the keys as he speeds off towards the academy. Just as he said. It arrived at the time he mentioned. Most of the students looked at the car, looking for who the owner was when they got closer, but since the windows were tinted, nothing could be seen from inside. This one parked in one of the spots they have for teachers. The students thought it was a teacher or something. But after the door opened, Issei came out. Leaving most people in awe. He yawns. He closes the door and walks away. While pressing a button, the vehicle door closes. He walks and people make way. Most people viewed this with jealousy, and the women greeted him because most of the women he greeted had already slept with, or rumors had spread that he was a good lover. This way and I arrive at your classroom. When he arrived, everyone greeted him. The men who still didn't understand how a loser became the Adonis of the academy. He smiles at them and goes to his seat. Where it was strange that 2 girls known to him had saved his place. Yes. Murayama and her friend from the kendo club treated him well. They were going to do something, but the sound coming from the teacher reported the following. Since Ra-sensei will not be coming, it has been discussed that there will be a substitute. Issei got bored and settled down to rest. Last night, he stayed up until 5 a.m. This one fell asleep. But something woke him up. The teacher came and saw him asleep. So he threw the eraser at him, as a warning. Seeing that he didn't wake up and that his classmates defended him, claiming that they should leave him. But she didn't tolerate it and went to his seat and yelled at him. He woke up and looked up. When he did, he was a little more surprised. Well. Those eyes and those breasts. They were the ones I used to play with until dawn yesterday. Many things went through his mind. When he was finally able to sleep. She looked at him in shock. He was the boy she and her friend had flirted with. He had committed a crime. Messing with her new student and a minor. Instead, Issei smiled and apologized. Without saying anything else, she began her class. Break time. Everyone left in a flash and Issei stayed behind. She was turned away without seeing him again. Hana, right. Sorry for not introducing myself, Issei Hyoudou, at your service, my dear teacher. She hits the desk and says. What happened must be forgotten. Seriously, what a shame and that I enjoyed it so much. If you say something you, who get so close to her. Making her blush. You're cute sensei, so much so that it makes me want to take you right now, he approaches her ear and whispers. Seriously so bad. I wasn't, he blows on her earlobe, making her moan. So it's a no. He turns around and goes to recess. He walks and in the hallway he meets Murayama and Caddis. Here, we both prepared a bento, so be grateful. Then both of you leave. And Issei smiles and says. Thank you, I'll make it up to you later. It was nighttime. And it's strange, today the light was bursting. The music was blaring. People kept coming, getting to the point where they couldn't let anyone in anymore. Lucy was at the bar with 2 girls, kissing. While he poured alcohol on her breasts, he drank from them. It seemed like today was better than usual. Issei was sitting in the VIP area accompanied again by 2 pretty girls who kept staring at him. Although they pretended not to see it. Anyone knew that this situation would later lead them to bed. They are having fun, he said, being hugged by Momo from behind and Ruruko from the front. If Issei-san, they said happily. That's good. But remember, I'll take you home later. But. Don't worry. We already took care of that, so tonight we will have fun together, said Momo happily. We made arrangements and now we have control of everything. Okay, he said, taking them by the hands as they walked out onto the balcony. Why did you bring us here? Were you bored? That's not it. I wanted to show you that, pointing to the sky. They both look and notice how today was a meteor shower. It's lovely. True. You know, I think looking at the stars is what still reminds us that we're still human. Not in my case. They know I died and was revived thanks to both dragon deities. That makes me not feel what it's like to be human. Which makes me miss that part of me sometimes. Issei-san, they both said when they noticed that about him. But hey. I'm not dead yet, so all that's left is to enjoy this, don't you think? he said, winking at both of them. That's how it is. They both lean back on it and watch the meteor shower together. Then a big one passes by and this one says. Make your wish. They both close their eyes and do it. He smiles as he finishes his drink. Okay, it's been too long. Let's get back to the party. They were walking, but Momo and Raruko look at each other and nod. And instead of going to the party, they take it and go away. Where are we going? But note that they were going to his room. The three of them entered. Raruko makes Issei lie down on the bed. While he looks at both of them, he sees it. Now what happened? But dear as Issei. It's been a few weeks since we became friends, and thanks to that we got over Saji. The point here is that we both fell in love with you. But neither of us was going to give way to the other. Today we'll call it truce. Because we want tonight to be special. And for that both of them start to take off piece by piece. Tonight we want you to be ours for today, they both said, already naked. Issei got out of bed and stood in front of them. Without warning, he kissed Momo. The kiss was slow at first, but then it became more intense. As he continued kissing her, he pulled Raruko's waist with his free hand. He separated from Momo and then proceeded to kiss her the same way he kissed Momo. As they separated, they both began to remove their jackets, then their shirts. Issei smiles and with his great strength he takes each one and carries them to the bed. He throws himself at them while he finishes taking off the last of his clothes. He sees the door open and with magic he makes it close and also makes it secure. 12 midnight. Issei, Momo and Raruko were huddled on top of him. Something like that. This one was looking at them. What do you see us? Each one said timidly. Nothing, just that tonight was magical. And why? What day is it today? He said. Today is April 16th. Why? That's why I say it's magical. It's my birthday today, he said, leaving them stunned. Today? Yes, he said. Because you didn't tell us anything. I almost don't like celebrating it. They both get up. And lie down on their sides. Momo takes her hand and links it with his. While Raruko caught him off guard and started kissing him. In that case, let's celebrate like this every year. They both said to hug him. Girl, sweet but forbidden PT1. Friday. Wait to say, we're in the living room. And that's it. They could come in and see us, said Momo. Since when do you care if we're seen? You're single, and so am I. Remember I broke up a long time ago? And we're both accountable to no one, or am I wrong? But still, she said, somewhat excited when she saw Issei kissing her neck. Let's go to the desktop. Saturday. Hahaha. Baru-chan, you're hotter today than usual. What happened to you? Baruko moans as she is placed in front of the glass while Issei stands behind her. This atmosphere made me feel eager, and it's nice that after having Hex, we also do it in the shower. Hahaha. I'm about to. Hiya, said Issei, coming inside her. Baruko also gave a loud moan. At that, Issei hugs her while continuing to kiss her neck, and she does her best to continue, since they continued doing it the night before and even the next day. Sunday. Issei hugged Momo while they were showering. Poor cactuas tan romantico. I don't know, that was just born in me today, it bothers you. Quite the opposite. I like making love like this. Let's go to bed. Some time later. And so it went for a whole week. Since Issei's 18th birthday. During that week there wasn't a day when he didn't have Hex with both of them. Monday morning. 7 a.m. You know that. What's up? He said, seeing her. Aichu met with Rias-sama a few days ago, and they talked about you. I'm sorry. I heard that Rias-sama resigned from the academy for a year. He said he wanted to be as far away from you as possible and didn't want to see you in the picture. I see, he said without interest. Can I ask something? Of course. Because they broke up. But there was a great silence. If you don't want to talk, that's fine. But according to them, he didn't live up to their expectations of being their ideal man. We argued and they said a lot of hurtful things. Then, what you know so far happened. Sorry for asking. It doesn't matter, in fact I don't care about that anymore. Because they wanted to change a lot in me, and now I think what would be the point if I changed something in myself for them if they were going to continue as if nothing had happened. Why change something in me when they can't change or mature? Issei notices the sad note for asking him that and takes advantage of the moment. He laughs maliciously and puts his hand under the water. Momo moans. She turns around and Issei catches her off guard while kissing her. Academia. Issei was walking through the campus when he took a few more steps and there was Saji. Hey friend, said this one going towards him. Oh, it's you, he said without interest. Oh, how serious. He said, laughing. You needed something. Do you want to come to my house for a while to play video games? I'll bring the snacks. No thanks, I'm actually going out today. Maybe a date. No, in fact I'm working today. You have a job. Yes and no. I'm actually making contracts. But you're no longer in Rias senpai's clan until she realized it and covered her mouth. Sorry, I didn't mean to mention her. Don't worry. And if I'm not there anymore, but I owed Kiba a favor, that's why I'm doing it. I see, then it'll be another day. Saji notices and sees that there were two girls ahead. One albino and the other brunette. I'll leave you friend, I'm going to get someone. Whatever, and Issei walked away. Issei was walking. Deep in thought when he accidentally bumped into someone. Making the person that guy fell with. He came out of his mental trance when he saw what happened. I act quickly and help that person get up. Thoman said that person. It wasn't my fault, I couldn't see. You're okay. And unlock. Ouch. He notices and sees his ankle is a little bad. Or not. The day is practice, she said, dejected. He notices and sees who it was. Iruka from the academy's swim team. Currently the regional champion. You know me. A pleasure, Hyoudou Issei, he said, bowing. It's my fault you got hurt and I know that's bad for your record. Please let me help you. Don't worry. I'll just talk to the trainer and rest for a few days. He laughed and without her saying anything. He made her lie down on the grass. Hey, what are you going to do? She said nervously. Look, that's a blue dove. Where she turned into chibi form. Issei smiles and applies magic to his foot. It's a shame he left early. Well, I'll take you to the infirmary. Iruka stood up and said. I don't feel pain, if a moment ago. She looks at Issei and says. What did you really do? But Issei puts his finger on her lip so that she doesn't talk. Then he winks at her and walks away. She looks at him in surprise. Is he? Iruka. She turns around and sees her other friends. Where were you? Sorry I got distracted. Who was that boy? Hey. I saw him touch your foot. Did you have that kind of kinky relationship with other guys? You're wrong. Only Hyoudou senpai helped me up because we tripped and I fell. Hyoudou senpai. You didn't mean Hyoudou Issei from class 2, did you? They know him. Everyone is surprised. How could we not know him? There are rumors that he hooked up with all the girls in the literature club and much more is said about him. Iruka, if you value your virginity. Stay away from him. But Iruka simply did not get carried away by the comments of her friends because there was a mystery that she wanted to discover. Issei senpai did something because the pain when he fell was immense. The Forbidden Fruit Part 2. What do they mean? You see. Just a few months ago, that guy didn't stand out. In fact. He was hated by many women here. Why, says Iruka surprised. For spying on them. You heard of the perverted beast? She nods. Well, that's him. After a while, he started hanging out with some members of the Rias Gremory senpai club. But something happened and they stopped coming just like him. People here have been asking questions about whether he did anything to them and still no one knows anything. From that day on, he returned. But something changed. As the days passed, the teachers overnight allowed him to do whatever he wanted. That's where the journalism club came in. I started doing research and stuff like that. You know the club is made up of only women because they think men are disgusting. The thing is, when they made a post about it. Something happened a week later. The club apologized and the post was also removed. Many say he messed around with all the girls. How come they apologize overnight and every time they see him, they sigh in love? That guy corrupts every woman here. If you look around you. Iruka looks and sees people, or rather. Women, greeting him pleasantly. You see it. Some say that he bribed the teachers and seduced them. That's why Iruka-chan, stay away from him and protect your virginity. Iruka watches Issei walk away. Issei was walking. Until he hears part of that conversation and smiles. Someone needs to punish her. He walks away and when he reaches the exit he notices two silhouettes waiting for him. Momo says hello. The three continue on their way and as they get a little further away. Momo takes him and kisses him. I missed you, she said as she broke away from the kiss. Iruko smiles and steps back as she makes Issei approach her and kiss her. They both separate. Momo smiles just like Haruko. I saw Saji go with you a while ago, everything is fine, Issei asks. But hearing his name makes them both angry and they spill the beans. Seijo then approached them to invite them to do something after school. But since he messed up with them at the beginning, they both got the better of him. And that's what happened, they both said, still somewhat annoyed. He thinks we're disposable plates. But. Issei stops them and says. You're better. He doesn't deserve you, and I say this selfishly, but I think you're amazing and no one deserves to be treated like this. And I'm sorry for reminding you of that bitter feeling. To make up for it, I'm inviting you to the movies today, what do you say? They both nod and hug him. Days later. Issei was in Lux. Apparently, he was with a girl who was playing hard to get, but as always, she ended up agreeing to go out with Issei the dragon. He smiles and his bartender says. Beautiful girl, sir, the prettiest one tonight. I know, right Dave? 2 drinks. All's your order, boss. Issei smiles and walks towards his companion. When he arrived. He saw her kissing someone. This one arrives with a face that says what happened here. That young man turns around and realizes who it is. Sarerg, says Issei in his thoughts. He looks at him and says. Sorry little one and thank you. This one takes this one sips and says. We're leaving. The girl smiles and walks away with him. Good luck next time and they both leave the bar. Issei still has a shocked face. Son of a bitch, said Issei smiling. He didn't even recognize me. Haha, bad luck pupil. Lucy, said Issei. You still need to learn, he said, continuing to laugh at having seen how his conquest had been stolen from him. Issei smiles and says. You'll pay me back someday, Bale. Just then a girl passes by and Issei follows her path and says. Because she is so alone. She laughs and goes with her. The next morning. After having taken that girl with whom he spent the night to his house. He parked and walked to the doors of his house. On the way he saw a mature female silhouette waiting outside. This way and said. You were offered something. That woman turned around and Issei easily recognized her. This La Bale. Young Issei, she cried with joy. She walked a few steps and took his hands. I'm sorry for never thanking you for helping me and my family. This one smiles and says. It's still cold, let's go inside and talk there. She nods and they both entered the Hyoudou mansion. Seriously, you don't need to thank me. I did it from the heart. I know you know about my family and my husband that we never mattered to them. I'm sorry to say no. But I know. With all due respect, your husband is an idiot for not knowing that the woman at his side is a beautiful woman that anyone would want to have, and I say this respectfully. Thank you, she says, embarrassed, because it's been a while since anyone praised her. Please can you tell me about your… Issei smiles and says. Thank you, Miss Law. This is better. How silly, I invite you to my house and I'm being rude. Issei walks to the kitchen and makes some tea and cookies. This Law notices the empty house. So Venezuelan was telling the truth, it's a shame. A nice and kind boy like him ended up with my niece. She sighs. Here it is. Thank you, young Issei. And we return to formalities. You should also address me informally. She smiles and says. This is good, Issei. This is better. They both laugh at that last thing. Forbidden Fruit Part 3. You don't have to bother coming every day to make me breakfast, Miss La-san. It's not annoying to come here, it makes me feel like I'm still useful, he said sadly. Issei is saddened by the latter, since she woke up. Not even her husband has visited her, and Sarerg has been involved in the Demon Council for a long time. And that last bit leaves that woman alone. He gets up and walks over to her. He hugs her from behind and says. I don't like that you think that about yourself. Even though I still hate your son for stealing that girl from me, I still respect him. Neither your damn husband nor anyone deserves the tears you shed for him today. This Law cries and grabs Issei's arms for emotional support. Thanks, Issei. Both you and I have suffered. I'm sorry for my husband's abandonment and you're sorry for my niece and her kindness. We've both had a tough time this time. No, you're wrong. The one who suffered the most here is you. You were forced to marry someone you didn't love and you spent a long time forgotten by that man who wanted to rule your clan. This Law smiles and feels that for the first time someone understands her. If there is anything I can do for you, please let me know and I will help you to the best of my ability. Issei smiles. He looks at her and wipes his tears and says. Yes, there is something you can do for me. I will accept any request. Smile more, just like now. After that Issei gives Miss La a hug. Which she gladly accepts. Issei was taking a bath in the lower part of the house. For days, Miss La offered to support Issei. He refused, but the power of a Bale was strong and made him end up accepting. This one was in the shower. Miss La was helping with some small things. And without knowing that Issei was on the floor taking a shower. She came in and arranged some towels and accidentally saw the steam. Issei was taking a shower and yet his muscles were showing, along with his man parts. Without doing or saying anything. Miss La was bewitched. She could see better thanks to her demonic vision. She saw every detailed part of the body that Issei had toned over time. His wet hair covering his eyes. His defined arms and abdomen. She became even more intrigued when he turned around and showed his back. She inadvertently showed some desire for a boy younger than her. Which caused remorse and she left in a hurry with her heart beating at 100%. She carefully closed it and leaned against the door, still haunted by it. And without wanting to or saying anything else. Miss La Bale was enchanted by the natural beauty of young Hyoudou Issei, and for the first time, she returned home. This time, she didn't feel alone. With the brunette etched in her mind, she slept comfortably. The only detail was that she dreamed for the first time that night about that young man. A few days passed and it was the same routine for her. But the detail that everything she did happily just to make Issei happy. The only detail was that she thought what she saw was just a fantasy for her. Bin Pav. Issei was thinking. This Lawson has helped me all these weeks. Even though she offered, I feel guilty for not giving her something. Like compensation. I know. To them all. That's right, and before you say no. Consider that you haven't explored the world much yet since you slept for so long. I would also like to give you a gift and thank you for helping me these days. Okay, let's go then. My Lady Issei gave her his arm for her to take. A little embarrassed, she grabbed him and they went downtown. While walking. People looked closely at Miss La. Issei smiled as he noticed her nervousness at how everything changed for her. Issei gripped his hand tighter. She looked at him and he nodded, letting her know that everything was going to be okay. She smiled and they continued on their way. Later on. Let's go quickly, said Issei, taking Miss La's hand. She was already a little soaked by the rain, just like Issei, who caught them off guard. They arrived home after running, having opted to use magic, but there were people around them. So they had no choice but to run. They both entered the house. Wow, that was great, Issei joked. It's been a while since I took a bath like this, said Miss La, trying to dry her hair. Quick, take off your clothes or else you'll get sick, she said, approaching him while she took off his shirt. As she took it off, she looked at his bare chest and caressed it without realizing what she was doing. Just then, as she was slowly touching him, she looked into his eyes. Issei noticed this and likewise took off Miss La's blouse. Leaving her only in her bra. They both look at each other and notice how the cold around them has stopped as something inside them has warmed up. Without warning, Issei and Miss La kissed passionately. Issei lowered his hands and began caressing her body without permission. She didn't make any gesture that bothered him. Issei and she separated. Issei turned her around and started kissing her neck. Miss La tried to resist moaning but I failed and moaned. Someone wanted me, even though I was still a married woman. I allowed this guy to do whatever he wanted to me without putting up a fight. I let myself go and moaned. He carried me and we made our way to the master bedroom. He laid me down carefully on the bed, took off his pants and walked over to me. Removing my pants in the same way, leaving me with only a bra and panties. He came closer and began to kiss my belly until he reached my lips. Shortly after he was already kissing me. And without holding back any longer. At night, for the first time in years, I felt like a real woman. At night I stopped lying to myself and enjoyed the taboo of cheating on someone. Night you will always remember. He began to pull down my pants and I felt that tingling sensation all over my body. It must have been the pheromones, no matter what. Everything inside me was burning. I prayed for this fire inside me to go out. But it wasn't possible, this boy made me feel this ecstasy. From the day I saw him naked in the shower, something inside me was activated and as the days passed, I began to desire him. Something in me yearned for him. I began to fantasize like a teenager. Right now, he was kissing my belly and I was aroused by every kiss, every caress. I wanted him to rip my soul out. I wanted to be just his, even if it was just for tonight. I wanted him to make love to me, I wanted to be desired, to be loved. To be a true woman. He started kissing me. I felt his lust running through me, like electricity. He kissed me and held my hands. Issei was very excited. I knew what to do and what to play. I started moving my hands lightly towards her nice big breasts. Lemon skipped. This night isn't over yet, my dear. It's just beginning. I won't let you leave my bed today. Something caught me. I gave in to my deepest and lowest desires for this young man who had kissed me and driven me crazy. I'm a pure-blooded demon, and despite what I am. What I desire most is this man. I want him to make me his, to mark me, to claim me as his, to break me every day and make me his again and again. We've been doing this every day, ever since that day. If I'm careless, he makes me his. Not just the dining room, the living room, every room in this house has been marked by us. The bathroom. The backyard. Everywhere, including Rias and her roommate's room. I know that in the future I will feel remorse for doing this with him, but now what I want to feel is how Issei makes me his until I faint in pleasure. Bin Pav. Don't you think something has happened to Issei-kun? He hasn't come to school or to Lux for days. You're right, but you're forgetting that he mentioned that he would go train with Lucifer. Yes, but. Don't worry, only when we see him will it make up for it twice. Since you're my best friend, I can't lose to you. Besides, I know how to please him better than you do, Momo said boldly. Baruko was shocked and said. You're competing with me, Momo-chan. Take it as you wish. Then. We bet. Both of them laughed somewhat macabrely at the bet. Hyoudou residents. This law was making something to eat. For the past week they've only been ordering food and haven't even cooked anything. She was smiling. She was wearing a very erotic apron, highlighting her splendid and hexy pale woman body. She took the tray and went up to Issei's room. When she arrived she saw him very fast asleep. She smiled, left the food on the nightstand, approached and woke Issei up with a kiss on the lips. Soon she got into bed with him. While pampering him and giving him tender kisses. He woke up and kissed her back. He carried her and put her in the sheets again. 12 o'clock, noon. This law was nestled in his arms. You know, I think I've lost count of the days we've been here without leaving. Would you like to take a bath, get dressed, and go to dinner? Do you want a date with me? She said happily. I accept, she said, kissing him again. But first let's take a bath. 30 minutes later. I think it's time to leave. Yes, but I still have to wash you properly, she said while kissing him. No. What's happening? It saddens me how people look at me. What are you saying? They look at you because you're so beautiful, and most people feel overshadowed by your beauty. If you realize. You're the flower of this place, he said, giving her a flower. She blushes. Come on my lady, he said, giving her the chair, and she will sit properly. She sits down, followed by this one. You look very beautiful today, Miss Lai praised this beauty, Bale. You know, I have to go back home today because we haven't left your house for days and I think you must be worried. I understand. I would like to know if you would come with me to my chambers today, you know, you and I, she said, embarrassed by what he was proposing. Issei smiled and mentally said. It must be hard for her to say all these kinds of things, I'll just tease her a little. If I accept, would you give me a kiss right here? Issei laughs and says. It seems you don't want me in your bed today. This La, already very embarrassed, approached him and gave him a big kiss in front of everyone there. Those who were there had to admit that they were jealous of that boy for kissing that woman. And what about the women? From the moment they saw Issei, they fell head over heels for him. And so the night passed normally. Underworld. Wow, Kiba, you did great. Look, you've made 30 contracts in 1 week. I'll give you a reward. For doing this, I'll give you permission to be absent from clan activities for a week. Haha, thanks but you, I laughed nervously. Issei-kun, perhaps you said this doubtful. Then I leave. Look, Rias, they're looking for a new contract, but Kiba has already left. You and I better go, Akeno. Yujuri Oshi, because finally they would go out to the human world. Some time later, Kuo Town. We came for a contract. I am Rias Gremory, a devil. I came here to fulfill your wish. They both look and see a very beautiful woman of 30 or older. She seems to be looking for someone. Look for something. Where is it, she said. Who? The beautiful boy who came before. Maybe Kiba. That's his name. Please let me see him, I'll do whatever you want, but please bring him here. Ever since he made love to me, I haven't been able to get him out of my mind and heart. Please, I'll give you everything, but bring it to me. If you want my soul, take it, but please. Rias, did Kiba cross that line? No, he must explain it to me himself. Woman, your request will be granted, the problem is tonight. It's not available, it could wait until tomorrow. Hey. Tomorrow. I'll finally see him. Thank you, she said happily. Let's go, Akeno. Hi, but you. Kiba owes us an explanation. If there's one thing we don't do, it's get physically involved with summoners. Yuju will receive the punishment, said Akeno happily. Issei, what did you do to make all these contracts? Kiba said thoughtfully. Say my name. Issei answers, said Kiba, trying to communicate with his friend. Elsewhere. Issei, your cell phone is ringing, said Momo coming out of the sheets. You really have to answer, said a head of brown hair coming out from the other side of the sheets. Issei, a little pissed off, took his cell phone and said. I don't know who you are and I don't care. If it's important, say so or go to hell. I'm in a good moment for someone to interrupt me, he said, seeing both women who were beginning to kiss his neck or begin to bruise him on the neck or chest of this one. On the other side. Issei, it's me, Kiba, I need to talk to you. Kiba, I'm really in the middle of something. You can't say that tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow at 11 in the park. Okay, I'll do it. Brown. What was that? What was that? A moan sounded. Do that. See you tomorrow. I hanging up the call. Now, what were we up to? That's right. Whipped cream, strawberries, and melted chocolate, he said, laughing as he watched the two of them with a lustful smile. This is going to be fun. The next morning. Issei woke up and looked around, searching for two girls. But there was no one. Until the door opens and they both come in with two breakfast trays. "You woke up," said Momo, who was wearing a shirt like this. "We wanted to give you your kiss before you woke up," said Raruka, wearing a tank top, the same as Issei's. "Good morning to you both, this river seeing you from head to toe." They both noticed how he looked at them with desire. They both nod and remove their few clothes and say, "This is better, Icon," they both said with a smile. "That and more precious," he said, hugging them and grabbing their cute round butts. They both look at him and take turns kissing him on the lips. "You know what, we have breakfast later." "There's still time," he said, pulling them towards the bed. "Tell me, what do you want most?" he said while tasting both of their breasts. They both moaned, unable to say what they wanted. But that was what they both wanted him to do to them. 11 a.m. Guo Park. Issei was dressed in a suit. He was walking around the area before reaching his destination. This was observed by various women who frequented that park. Even those who were with their partner did not hide the fact that they did not see him, causing jealousy on the part of the men. Issei smiled. Tiba Issei called, seeing him waiting. Issei said, somewhat surprised by his friend's physical changes. "Something important happened," he said, waiting for an answer as to why he was forced to leave the penthouse and abandon his quarters and his two young lovers. "You see." Minutes later. "Come on, dude. You asked me for a favor and I did it. What's so bad about that? You see. But you wants to take care of that case herself, and if she finds out, I'll be upset. Tiba, if you're a man, you'll accept the punishment. Go yourself and talk to her and erase her memories." "I can't do that, they'll be there, and if that happens I'll be in trouble." "I'll see what I can do, if you'll excuse me, I have to attend to my own business," he said, getting up from the bench, calmly. That same afternoon. Hotel's own. Gremory family. Sigh. "This is boring. Don't you miss going to the academy?" "I kind of miss all that. Since there's no more factional conflict with the Chaos Brigade. Everything has been calm and peaceful. I miss going to school," said Akeno. "Besides, if we went, he would be there." "Akeno, remember when I said I didn't want to hear anything about Issei?" "Yes, but remember what happened. If he wasn't able to change, it wouldn't be worth fighting. But still let's stop talking about him for a second and finish the contract and go home, please." "As you command." Evening. Tiba arrived at that place before his mistress. This touch. The beautiful woman opened the door. Tiba looked at her and had to admit she was beautiful. "Who are you?" she said. "My name is Hyoudou and I'm here to talk." "Tiba." "The same name of that beautiful boy. What do you need?" "I can come in, if we talk we can come to a good agreement." "What is it about?" "It's about that boy you're looking for. If you do me a favor, I'll personally make sure he fulfills your request." "Seriously?" he said happily. "And his name isn't Kiba. His name is Issei." Issei said happily. "Yes, it's him." He said, showing him a photo of his networks. She looks at them and confirms that it is that boy. Flashback. Issei arrived through a transportation spire that they used as a summon. Issei came out and looked at the place. "An office," he said while looking closely at the place. "You enjoy the view?" Issei turned around and saw a beautiful woman sitting on an armchair. "You must be the demon that summoned a certain one. Let me introduce myself. My name is SHHH. I don't need to know your name. The question is this. If you live up to my expectations, I'll sign the contract. If not, I." "Oh wow, arrogant," he said, smiling. "So tell me, kid. I'm sure you can be a man enough to live up to my expectations," she said, looking him up and down. Issei laughs. He takes off his shirt and says, "Let's see who's in charge tonight," he said, throwing away his shirt and then giving her a kiss. Advancement. Here it is. What happens when cattle get together? This law. Type red. The sensei. Eck. You're a womanizer. Seriously, that was your ex? Goodbye, final temp. Tiba did it. He was spared from his clan's punishment. They had imposed a no-hex rule among their contractors, but Tiba, when asking his friend Issei for this favor, he took advantage of the fact that the woman was looking for fun. So he didn't hesitate and ended up making him sleep with her that same day, making it clear who was in charge. But it didn't end there. Flashback. Rias and company were in the beautiful woman's apartment. She looked at Kiba and said, "Jump, I was wrong about you. You're not my ideal guy. I'm leaving here," she said, leaving with a serious look on her face. Rias and company were in shock. "She rejected me," he said seriously. "Let's go, there's nothing else to do here," Rias said, resigned. Entering the transport circle, Kiba smiled. He'd done his part and gotten away with it. Well, he knew his mistress had been in a terrible mood and she'd be even worse if she knew the rule had been broken. Although he didn't sleep with her, if he did, the responsibility would fall on him. Some time later. Tock 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 tock. The woman opened the door. To his surprise, Issei entered calmly, without any difficulty. He turned around and to top it all off he said. I heard someone needed comfort he said while smiling. That woman admired her beauty and said. You're my ideal man. You're porn, you're pizza, you're sensual. Well my toys are left behind, you've already made me enjoy myself. You're perfect. Just be mine and I'll give you everything, she said seriously. Issei Sialaga wide eyes. I'm sorry woman, but I must say that I refuse, PSSS I'm not just for a girl he said smiling. She felt bad about it and to make up for it she said the following. How about you come and please me every day of the week? She said hopefully. I still have to reject your request. Why? You said it yourself. Irreplaceable, just for one night. My code changed that day you said, just one night. But Issei shuts her up and says. Just let me take you tonight. Even if it's your last, I'll make you enjoy it 1,000 times better than the last. Then flashback. After that day, Issei began to be more responsible in Luxure, neglecting it for a few weeks. He went to school for pleasure, and on top of that, every morning was spent with some of the senseis and students. The afternoons of Momo and Raruko and their outcome. Nights were special for the beautiful and hexy MILF Miss La Bale. Like Lucifer said. I'm a big bang, 10 loads a day and still resting. Issei was really good at what he did. Then Pav. Mom, you look different these days. I don't know how to explain it, but you look so happy. More full of life. You think so, son, said Miss La laughing. I don't know what it is, but I'm glad. She laughed at what was said and left the castle for the human world. She laughed PSSS she was planning to surprise Issei with a field day. Momo and Raruko have been in a competition for a couple of days. Of which of the two would stay with Issei, but in each competition, both tied and no winner was decided. Therefore, both teams would decide today. Who would win if the result was a tie? Both teams would share the prize. But Taku, that boy is sloppy, look at him skipping my classes. Because I have to take his homework, Kurisu said, blushing, heading home. Elsewhere. Issei was in the Lux talking with his master Lucifer. Tell me one thing, Issei. What's up Lucifer? We've known each other for 3.5 months, right? And? In that time, I haven't taught you a single thing about your skills. We have an engagement next week in Las Vegas. You've sorted everything out regarding your school, right? Yes, I bribed all the teachers. Some teachers didn't want my money, so I gave them something else specifically. That's how it's done, kid he said, laughing. Luz, I learned from you. You still have a lot to learn. I wanted to talk to you about that too, he said seriously. Minutes later. Let me think about it. We have the auction event in Las Vegas in a week. You have to give me an answer tonight. I'll do it Lucifer, just give me time. Later on. Issei decided to walk for a while towards his house. While walking. 4 silhouettes formed along 4 different paths. Issei, without realizing it because he was in his thoughts, did not notice that he was slowly approaching those 4 silhouettes. When Issei different voices called him. Making him come out of his thoughts. This one is surprised. But the surprise of these 4 women was that they met head on. Wait for me. I think. How could you Momo and Raruko? They both said, slapping him as they left. Kurisu just gave him a disapproving look while throwing the notes that were meant for him in his face. I hope I never see you again. Later that night. Issei was drinking a drink at home. He was sad, he took his cell phone and called Lucifer. It's me. What do you decide? I accept, I'm going with you to the United States. Issei was at the airport. Why did you accept so suddenly? Said Lucifer, looking at him head on. The truth is, I'm tired of being treated like property. The reason I called you yesterday was because I felt the same way I did that time I was broken up with. I'm tired of that feeling, not because I was broken up with, but rather because they treated me like a toy. Momo and Raruko knew what I was like from the beginning. They knew I'd slept with more women than they could have imagined. It was almost the same with Miss La. I once told them about my experiences after I broke up with Rias. They knew what I was like and they still behaved in a very childish way by making that jealous scene. I understand. Women are difficult sometimes. Let's go quickly he said walking towards the area where his private jet was. What do you want to do along the way? What do you think about drinking and playing poker? You're still teaching me how to play and cheat. Of course he said laughing. Later on. Here's your drink, sir, said a flight attendant. Issei smiles and the woman winks at him and walks into the executive suite. Issei smiles and says. Hey Lucifer, I have to make a call. Shut up and just go and sleep with that girl. Thank you, said Issei, entering the room. Later on. That woman left the room. Her clothes were torn and her hair was messy. But mostly, she was sighing with happiness or satisfaction. Which case would that be? Then Issei came out, smiling. His fly was down, his hair was messy, and his shirt was unbuttoned. He sighed and went to sit down. He sat down, had a drink and poured himself some whiskey. He drank it and settled back in his seat. He looks and notices that Lucifer was wearing earmuff-type headphones. Did we make so much noise? He wondered as he watched Lucifer sleep. I'm sleepy too. Hours later. Lucifer and Issei got off the plane. Good morning, sir, said the flight attendant who had been with Issei the night before. She approached and left her number on the coat he was wearing. Issei was a little sad and a little passionate. He approached her and kissed her without warning. Lucifer yells and says. You look busy, see you at the hotel. I'll go for a walk, he says, laughing. But Issei just signaled him to leave. Later on. Unknown luxury hotel area. Please the Imperial Suite, said Issei. Yes sir, if you give me your details, said the employee. Of course, he said, taking out his documentation. The employee, upon seeing the name, gulped and called the manager. Minutes later. Sir. I'm sorry to tell you this, but this area belongs to the Gremory family. Months ago, we received orders from the heiresses. The Red Emperor, or as she called it. The breast addict, is forbidden. She practically banned him from her hotel's own and other places associated with her and her family. Issei didn't say anything. He grabbed his luggage and left. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, said the person. Don't worry. I understand what it's like to deal with someone like her. You want war, you laugh. You'll have war. Meanwhile with Lucifer. Are you coming for business or pleasure? Pleasure, always pleasure. That girl and some others left with the little devil. I am say. This entry to another hotel. He stayed and thought about what happened today. Rias has given him such a bad reputation. To the point of doing this to him. Gremory's company. Best hotel area in all of Japan. We'll see what you do when the competition eats you alive, he said maliciously. We have to do a lot of teaching. Trailer. There are too many of them, we won't be able to hold on at this point. Keno, where are the reinforcements? 5 minutes, we just have to hold out until that time. We won't be able to resist any longer. Fiba is seriously injured. Rossweisse is barely able to overcome the barrier. Damn, said Rias helplessly. Whistle. You could hear someone's footsteps walking in the middle of the fire. This one stops and talks. Hey, bad boys. Issei, they said in shock. Sir, we have told you that you cannot leave without your escort. How bad is it that you walk a little and see beauties around there? Bring me that boy, said a slightly scary female voice. I have some use for the sinister smile. What have you been doing all this time? Believe me, you wouldn't believe it if I told you. You're hurt and you're acting like you're not you. Of course. You've never seen me like this. You don't know when I'm not in love with you. In this new season I want to add some things or many. I want to make this Issei a badass. 1.5 years later. Japan. Guo Town, 1.5 years later. Gremory residence on Earth. That time has passed a lot. After Lucifer invited us on a long journey away from Japan and Earth. Things went for the better and a little for the worse. It was sad with Momo and Haruko. After realizing what they'd done to Issei, knowing that he was already bothered by being monopolized like an object, they realized how wrong they'd been, since they were nothing. They talked about having a relationship, but both of them refused due to their incompetence over who would be his official girlfriend. But after a week of eternal internal dispute between them, they both agreed to go see him at Luxure. The worst part was when the Luxure was empty. And there was no sign of Lucifer. They knew very well that the Luxure would never be closed, much less that Lucifer wouldn't be with someone and drinking in the morning. Later, they went to his residence. Upon entering, they saw the furniture covered. As if they had been swallowed by the earth. They waited for days, wondering if he might have gone on a bender with Lucifer in a fit of rage, but then weeks passed, then months. Then winter, and no news from him. They thought he had already left. So when the demonic Asgardian, Fallen, Yaokai, and Angelic Committee learned of this, they mobilized people to search for him, but they returned empty-handed. Something happened and Hyoudou Issei was declared off the radar. Momo and Haruko's situation was just as identical to Miss La Bale's. Some time later, Issei's closest ex-lovers met and shared their experiences of what had happened with each of them and him. Those women swore to secrecy that they had a sexual relationship with the young brown-haired man. Well, one was the ex-girlfriend's aunt and the others were there out of respect. Of Gremory. When they heard the news, they became desperate and even secretly mobilized their relatives to find him, but it all ended the same way. Issei had disappeared from the earth. After that, 1 year passed. They continued searching, but her spirit slowly began to give way and she began to think that she had left for Rias and her ex-partners. We all know that Issei and Lucifer went on a bender for 1.5 years. They even went so far as to blame each other. But then exactly that year. Uburo's office showed himself before everyone and said something they wouldn't have believed. Issei had jumped to multiple multiverses. Receiving that news made them think other things. Rias and company decided to return to Earth and continue their studies. Rias and Akeno went to university. Kaneko's moved to 2nd grade. Asia, Xenovia, Irina, and Ravel moved up to senior year. Ross continued teaching. Hiroka decided to readapt and be with her sister, along with a little magician and Issei fan. The alliance remained standing. They asked Vali to be the interim pillar. Meaning he would replace Issei until he returned. He refused and continued fighting and becoming stronger. Knowing that his rival was going from world to world, he knew that if he returned, he would come back stronger than ever. So there was no other choice and Saji took his place, being the now middle class and interim pillar of the factions. His ego increased a bit. Vinpov. 1 year 1 to 2 later. Night in Kuo. The elimination of 4 groups of renegade demons had been requested. Team Citri was on a mission in Asgard and only Team Gremory was there. During that time, I didn't think about reincarnating anyone as I hoped to talk to Issei and possibly discuss what happened during that time. There was no other option, they had to wait for reinforcements. Sarah Ergbale and Citri's group. Rias and company managed to fight against everyone and eliminated half of them, but they didn't realize that there were humans collaborating with them. Damaging Kaneko, Gasper and Asia. Rias and Akeno put up a barrier while Kiba cleared a path for them. But they began to outnumber them in magic and group. The reinforcements haven't come yet. 5 minutes laughs. Damn, at this rate we. Elsewhere. Lucifer, you should have warned me we'd be back sooner. I couldn't say goodbye to those maids. Kid, you said that no matter what happened we had to go back, don't blame me, besides you were guilty this time. Me because. If you hadn't interrupted me at that moment with that queen, today would be different. Well, whatever, let's not blame ourselves. See you later kid, I'll go see the Lux, that remodeling was already necessary. It should have opened exactly a month ago. I'll walk a little, see you later. It's good to be back home, said Issei smiling at every girl who passed by. I miss Japan. What is that over there? Issei said, standing next to what looked like a barrier. Some time later. Hiba had been injured. The 5 minutes had already passed and no one had come. Akeno was slowly running out of energy and Rias was about to become the same. At this rate she said angrily. Those demons will fall soon. My boys are hungry, they'll be a delicacy. Then we'll go after the humans. Rias lost her magic and fell to the ground. Everyone saw their end almost at hand. Until they hear some footsteps in the shadows along with a whistle. The night covered his face. Little by little it began to show. Until finally his face was revealed and he said. Hello bad boys. He looked around and smiled. As his eyes reddened. Issei said everyone present there. Back to the rodeo. Whistle. This creature takes each step more and more striking while continuing to hiss. Everyone stops attacking and looks at who is already making his way towards them. Hello, bad guys, he said with a haughty smile and a mocking tone towards them. What the hell said one of the enemies. Can I join the party? Who is this guy and where did he come from? Said the demon who was about to attack the Grimoires. I see I don't need an invitation. Without any prior warning, like the video, Issei finished them all off. He looks in a distant direction and says. Bingo, there is the leader and Issei started walking, but. Whereas. She turned around and was lying on the ground, still unable to believe that this is Issei, who has changed so much. It's you. But instead of saying anything, he just took a huge leap into the sky in the direction of the alleged leader of that group of demons and other races who wanted chaos and the attention of the high command of the 5 worlds, that is, the 5 faction leaders. So that's the Red Emperor Dragon. Rumors say it's powerful. Let's see how good it is, said an arrogant female. Some time later. I see you waited for me for a long time, said Issei. It was worth the wait. If you are the legendary Red Dragon. This and more was worth it. Although I have to admit that it is sad that a busty loli is the enemy. That made the girl blush and say. Who are you calling a busty loli? Just so you know, I'm 20. I propose something to you. Haha, you're scared. No, in fact, it would be a shame if someone like you died at my hands. So, at this point, I suggest you give up and tell me why you came to Earth. Haha idiot, you think I'll believe you, he said sheathing his sword. Fight. It's really sad to kill you girl, said a voice behind her. She turns and sees Issei very close to her, holding her shoulder. Damn how you did it, I couldn't even see how and when it moved, he said mentally. You should already know that I'm in the strongest top in history. I even dare to say that I've already broken the barriers of my limits and I have so much power that no one can match me. Besides, you should know that I love women. Or the references from everywhere that say that I love women, and really, I would never lie about that. Looking at it closely, you not only have big breasts, I dare say that you are very pretty. Tell me. What happened to you for you to be on the enemy side? At that moment, without warning, he stole a kiss from the girl on the lips. Give up and let's talk, he said, separating his lips from hers. Damn, that was my first kiss, how dare you, she said, euphoric and very blushing. Minutes later. You said you would tell me what I wanted to know, he said, separating from the kiss. I promised you that and more. Now kiss me. Okay. The Gremory group had already recovered and right now they were going to where Issei went. Upon arriving they saw the leader gagged in a way that only a fallen girl in the Gremory family would love for someone to do to her. The terrorist leader said. Take me, I'll talk to you. From the tone of her voice. She sounded like someone happy or content. The Gremory group turned around looking for Issei. But the girl said she had already left. Remaining in doubt with Issei's return to Kuo and his new change. Of which he didn't even speak to them, he spoke to them. Surprised by his behavior. Luxure. What happened to you? Lucifer said, drinking and looking at Issei, who looked like that. The hurricane passed you by. If he would tell you, he said, smiling. He put his hair up and adjusted his shirt and said. I am as you taught me, a big bang. Hahaha. Lucifer River. Come on, we have to open the track. They both went to the piano and sat down. I sing and you play the piano, Issei. Of course, teacher. The waitress passed by and left 2 drinks for both of them. Issei took it and something caught Lucifer's attention. Nice ring. Do you like it? I notice a strange energy coming from him. You got it when you got angry and sent me to that multiverse without many of my abilities. I cultivated some secrets, especially a meteorite. Meteorite stone ring. Yes, this ring has the ability to turn certain abilities back in time, but the cost isn't as bad as I thought. Lucifer smiles and says. You have matured somewhat all this time. You think, he said, taking the drink. They both laugh and Issei says. I'm buying the first round. And so they both opened the stage at the opening of the Luxure bar. The classes. Both played the piano wonderfully and were both acclaimed by the customers. They stole the night with a great party that was unforgettable at the opening of the Luxury after a year of closure for repairs and because the owners went on a spree. Lucifer took the McLaren along with many models to a lake. Issei stayed at the bar watching everything from the office window. He took out some things and caught up because a lot happened that year. They returned to Japan because both had already achieved what they wanted. Issei acquired a large famous company that within half a year became world famous in the chain of restaurants and luxury hotel chains. He already had everything and only returned to Japan to finish conquering his territory. 11 at night. Issei was watching from the balcony of the Lux. Everything was normal, new faces. He sighs and laughs. I need to drink something or this will bore me. This one starts walking down the stairs. This one walks. Notice the looks women give him. He smiles and winks at them. I knew that the ones there were going to sleep with him, but I still had to see what else interesting happened. Minutes later. He saw a group of 5 girls looking at him for a while. This one smiles at them. The next morning. Issei woke up feeling a bit hungry. He wanted to move, but couldn't when he saw 2 female silhouettes on his left and right side, 2 more. And 1 more on his legs. He forgot about the night before. After having a few drinks with that group of 5 girls, he took them to his room. Needless to say, what happened to them? Well, we know that this little dragon works its magic when it sees itself surrounded by many damsels. 10 minutes later. This breakfast, he looked at his watch and knew he had to go to school today. He hadn't set foot on those grounds in a while and he had to get ready. He prepared extra food for his still sleeping companions. He walked slowly to his room, grabbed a few things, and left. 1 hour later. Entrance of the academy. Several female silhouettes were running and the students were wondering what was happening. Someone previously acquainted with a certain chestnut tree was carrying papers and saw all the commotion. But he didn't say anything and continued on his way because he was in a hurry. As I was walking I heard someone say. You see, it really was him. Yes, our prince returned. I heard he left for a reason. I heard it was for business. So long and he's become more handsome than before, I don't believe you. See for yourself. That girl walked and as she continued. She noticed how everything froze for her. She stood there, unable to believe what she saw. It was a dream for her. She saw him pass by and her heart beat hard. Perhaps Issei had returned. Room 3A. Well students, today we have a new student. Well, more like a former student who left for unknown reasons, but returned and today begins his third year. Please come in. He began to walk down the halls. Until he entered the classroom. All the students hadn't been paying attention, but as soon as he walked in, they all started staring. This one came in and said, "Hello everyone, I see new faces. Let me introduce myself. I'm Issei and I'd be delighted to meet you ladies," he laughed mockingly in a seductive tone. Those students were in shock. But the girls. Only Xenovia, Irina and Asia were shocked to see him again. It was a dream. Without saying anything else, he walked in and sat down. 3 rows in front of his exes. When most of them started to leave, this one came out first. He went from aisle to aisle, attracting everyone's attention. Everyone knew who he was and what he did. Well, no one could prove that Issei Hyoudou bribed all the teachers. The journalism club slandered him with that. But 2 days later, he retracted his statement, saying he slept with everyone at the club that day. Much was said about him a year ago. But now they know that everything about him is very possible. Student council room. "Momo, bring those papers please," said the former treasurer. Saji Genshiro was the new student president. Yeah. He was signing some documents regarding the factions. He was proud to be the interim pillar, although his ego got a bit high. "Baruko, there will be a meeting today and we must prepare." Hi. For a year now, they've been behaving strangely, especially when he tries to ask them out. They reject him. They used to be more attentive to him, but something happened last year. He searches for answers and what he has heard leaves him somewhat shocked. He heard from a source that they were both in a relationship with someone. He refused to believe it. He trusted them. But there was that thing that was eating him up inside when he thought of them in someone else's arms. In the middle of the day. Her mailbox was already filled with multiple love letters. And Sirio already missed school. Hyoudou Issei. Elsewhere. Lucifer was waking up. Remembering that the day before he left with those beauties. He noticed and saw that he was surrounded by all of them. He laughed and curled up again and fell asleep again. Daddy's home back. Issei walked toward the cafeteria. I knew he had people following him around all day. They all looked at him with disbelief and obvious jealousy. But what could I do? He hasn't done anything and everyone is already after him. He arrived at the cafeteria. He walked over and bought some food. He noticed all the tables were occupied. When he did, most of the kids blocked their seats. Seriously, they were jealous of him. He looked and as if by magic many girls, the most beautiful in the academy, approached him and took him to their table. "I appreciate your sweet gesture, ladies," he said, sitting in the center of everyone. And as strange as it may sound, they all surrounded him and without doing or saying anything, they all approached him with questions. About where he was and what he did all this time. "Ladies. I feel like if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. Why don't you tell me what people think I did this time?" What both of them told for a while was the rumors about him. When Issei finished telling his story, he laughed. "Seriously, many people think that. So senpai. Some of the rumors are true. If I said yes, what would I get in return?" he said mischievously. One of them reacted to his flirting and stood in front of him and said, "Whatever." Issei smiled and came closer to the point where their faces collided and their lips almost touched. Everyone there watched with jealousy. The men were too jealous, but beyond that they couldn't stop listening. The women had red cheeks from what they were witnessing. It was something like one of their fantasies or doujins that they have read where the protagonist is the bucking master and he gets the girl and the harem still follows him like lovers. "It's a deal, miss," said Issei. "Hi," she said very nervously. Afternoon. Departure time. After an exhaustive talk between Issei and his cowhace. Lunch time was over and everyone returned to their classrooms. Time also flew by for some girls whom Issei hadn't seen all this time. They thought about meeting him. But what would they say? They had some right to ask what had become of him and where exactly he had been all this time. But they opted for that option and went home instead, thinking they would see him there. For his part, Issei stayed in the classroom looking out the window. He yawns and says in his mind. It's already late. Today there's an opening in the Lux and Lucifer probably hasn't arrived yet. He turns around and walks away. Not until he saw Asaji talking to Vitra by the student council presidency. I was going to say hello but. And what would you do if the drag carrier returns? It doesn't matter, I earned the right to be the pillar of the factions. Yes. But that was because the Albion bearer refused. You were the last person they thought of. I know, but everyone's waiting for him to return. They're still not comfortable with you. Everyone will soon see me in a positive light. So there's no need to worry. Hyoudou will probably be around spying on the women and that's why he hasn't returned yet, he said, mocking him. Besides, tomorrow is the meeting and I have to submit yesterday's reports from the Gremory group against that group of demons. I don't really know what happened, and yet they won without him, he said as he left there. Issei, who was still leaning against the wall, said. That's what you think of me, huh? Interim pillar. I think you were my friend. Nonsense, you are not my friend. He walked out of the school, all the way to his vehicle, unaware that someone was watching him from inside the school. That Issei-kun, said two men with long hair watching someone get into a luxury sports car through the window. Evening. Master bedroom. So. Tell me, what is your biggest fantasy, said Issei while blindfolding a girl. That's it, say my name. Say my name. Issei ha. He moaned with pleasure. Jaja, say my name. Burning together. You promised to tell me what wonders you did for the world, senpai. Issei smiles and says. There are things that normal people would not understand. What do you mean? If I told you, would you believe me? Well, where do I start? Later on. Academy library. You don't want to, said Issei, cornered among the books. I didn't say that, she said, blushing a lot. It's just that. Your first time, said Issei, moving away. So you don't want to burn with me, he said, kissing her. While Issei was kissing that second-year girl in the library and they were starting to get into the mood right there. Someone was walking down the corridor when they suddenly heard some indecent sounds. Did you hear that? Let's see what it is. I am Sei. This one was already slowly undressing her. Senpai yo. Leave it to me. I'm not a jerk. On the contrary, you're beautiful and incredibly hexy. I'm beautiful. It's the first time anyone has told me that. Senpai, please be my first time. She said, holding out her arms. Music to my ears. One moment. A scream was heard that made him and her stop. Issei turned his face and saw a girl. What do you think you're doing? I heard about a new public morals committee at the academy. What do you think you're doing? Don't you see? I was about to do it to this hexy lady. Hi. Shouted the girl accompanying Issei. She quickly dressed and ran out. Great, you scared her. Thanks. He said, turning around while showing his bare chest. I guess you're the president of that club. He looks at her and notices her blushing a lot. Do you want me to undress so you can keep your mouth open longer, beautiful? Issei. She quickly turns around and says. Shameless, she said, turning around. You can see now I'm dressed. You won't get away with it. I'll report you to the student council. Don't even bother. I'm still new, or rather, I'm back from a trip. Then you must be. I do say exactly, and since I don't know the rules of this place yet, I think you'll just give me a warning. Right. You were saved, but next time I'll have you expelled myself. Issei laughs and says. When you don't get angry you are more beautiful. Get down, she said, blushing. We see each other and this one passes by him and whispers. If I decided who would be the most beautiful in the academy, that award would go to you, Miss Yumi Kaichu. Sayonara. After that ruined moment. Issei walked through the campus. So they haven't contacted Issei yet, Rias said. Don't laugh, Sama. We haven't even seen him come home since yesterday. Even though all his things are there. But this doesn't make sense. I thought he'd come looking for us, she said sadly. I know we are nothing anymore, but I still. He hadn't finished speaking before a dangerous woman burst into the room, introducing herself through a magic transport circle. Rias-sama. I'm letting you know that the meeting will be held tonight here at the academy. Your nobility, as well as noble Citri, must attend. Hi Graphia. So I say goodbye, leaving again. The other factions will be there. Maybe he'll be there tonight too. No lose. We better focus on what happened. These attacks have been increasing. I'm afraid another organization is behind this. We'll see what everyone says tonight. Could it be that Azazel-sensei said this must be top secret? Hi Keno. At that moment Kaneko said. The smell of Issei-senpai is outside. Without saying anything else, they all went out to look out the window. When they noticed. They saw him walking toward a luxury car. After that, he quickly left the place. Said Rias, putting her hand on her chest. Lux 3 in the afternoon. Issei arrived at his room. He sat down in his office. Raymond, come to my office. Minutes later. What's up, sir? You collected the information I asked you for yesterday. Yes, sir. 9 months ago, creatures began appearing around the city. Currently the team that faces them are the Gremory family and Citri. But their increase has escalated greatly. My informants told me that a meeting will be held today at 8 a.m. It speculated that Kyoto, Asgard, Heaven, Gregory and Hell will be present. Or rather, their rulers. I see. It's probably because said this Issei smiling. My sources also said that the current pillar of this alliance is not completely confidential and the alliance has been under some hostility. Not from the leaders, but from all their people. They believe their current acting pillar, Genshuru Saji, isn't suitable for this position. That's why everyone is speculating that something has happened to you. They mention that your leaders are getting involved in this. Their hostility toward your leaders is increasing. If this continues, there will be bloodshed on all sides. Finished reporting. Issei got up from his chair and took a few steps towards the balcony. I didn't think the alliance would be wrong without my presence. My lord, if you allow me. Forward. I think it's time for you to return. If things continue like this, you'll end up involving humanity. If you show up today and those people see you, things might improve and those enemies might become afraid of you. Issei takes a few steps and approaches him. Lose Raymond. But I'm no longer interested in those things. I love my life as it is now. But sir. You know why you are a trustworthy person for me. No sir. A year ago, I saw a boy who needed help and thought. What an unfortunate boy. Exiled from his family and banished. Abandoned by friends and his girlfriend. I said. This boy needs a friend. Icky, you're a friend and I appreciate your loyalty. And what I appreciate is your sincerity. Thank you sir. Let me know that until further notice, management will be in your hands for a while. Return to the United States. We'll set up a branch here in Japan. And Icky. Yes sir. Thank you. He smiles and walks away. Trouble boy, said Lucifer, entering the office. It's nothing. I just need to go to a stupid meeting today. That's a shame, kid. I invited all of Japan's hexiest models today and they said they wanted to meet the CEO. Hexy models, he said, changing from a sad tone to a happy one. Fatima, no lie. More for me, said this one coming out of there. Wait. I'll go but I'll come back sooner. That's my pupil, he said, leaving with a glass in his hand. Model, said Issei happily. 8:40 at night. Saji was looking at some things. About his bi-monthly report about what happened in Kuo. Well Momoruko. Today I will give my best so that everyone can see that I am a good pillar. If all goes well tonight, I'll be allowed to treat you to coffee. Issei-san-kun. Saji turns around and sees him there. Issei too. Hello, he smiled this one. But you weren't there. Nice to meet you, Momoruko smiled this time at the two of them. I see the meeting is about to start. I leave you. But you hadn't left. Exactly, but that's why I came back. Don't worry, I'll take off that burden of being an interim pillar and take it back. Do you mind if I take both girls? They know everything that's happened. Or maybe you got jealous, he said, laughing. Please guide me, Issei said to both of them, who just quickly agreed. Don't be late, Saji, the meeting is starting. Issei kept walking. Momo and Raruko were in the back. Issei, it's good that you're coming back, you'll see us. But he burst in and said. I need you to tell me what's been happening this time. It's true that there's tension. Hi, they both said when they saw that he didn't even say hello or anything after what happened. As if nothing had ever happened between them from the beginning. I see. Everyone was waiting for Saji to appear. But when speaking, the doors opened and someone they hadn't seen for a while walked in and said. Hello everyone, with a somewhat smug smile. The CE. Just like old times. Hello everyone, said Issei, entering through the large door of the academy. Everyone was surprised to see him back, and one thing that didn't go unnoticed was that Issei had a different aura about him. As if something wasn't the same anymore. Issei smiled and looked at them all there. They were all there. Odin and his Valkyries. Michael with Arena. Azazel with Barakiel. Amayu accompanied by the other two Mass. Leviathan and Beelzebub. Followed by the Gremory and Citri team, who still watched without believing that Issei, who a year and a half ago looked normal and now shows another type of facet and that mature aura that surrounds him. Issei-kun. It's been a while guys, he said without stopping laughing. But if office told us that when you came back, I-kun. Just 2 days ago. Issei lifts his jacket to look at his watch and see the time. Damn. Lucifer said he had a limit, after that he would take everyone to the beach. I want to go to the beach with lots of models. I have to finish this quickly and leave immediately, or else he will rub it in my face for a long time. Issei stops thinking, he notices that everyone is looking at him subtly and asks the question and says. They want to know what I did all this time, right? Everyone nods, but he says. Unfortunately for them, this isn't the time or place. Well, I heard from Momo-chan and Raruko-chan, making them both blush at Issei's last comment, that they've been having a bad time this whole time. Just answer something. What percentage of credibility do they have with their people? Odin says. Asger's only 40% in favor and 60% against. Michael says. Heaven has stopped hearing the prayers of humans. "It seems they've stopped believing," said the sad man. Azazel speaks and says. "My people are beginning to think that if you really don't show up they will think it was everyone's fault here and it could cause an internal war for power." Zerzich says. "The demons believe the leaders colluded and plotted to get rid of you. If this continues, I fear that in a month everything will get worse than it already is." "I was afraid of it," Issei said, holding his head while thinking. "They think that with Saji's promotion as interim pillar, something must have happened to me, right?" "That's right," they all said. "Okay. I'll take care of all this. Michael, given my friendship with you, I will take care of the prayers. Azazel, I will go tomorrow and present myself to everyone to calm the hostile spirits that exist against you. If I show up in Asgard in a few days to present a new transformation and challenge some warriors, credibility will return to their king. In the underworld, I can present myself before the council to request my promotion to middle class. PSSS, a year and a half ago I stayed there. People will spread rumors that they saw me and then they'll see that nothing happened." When making said plan, everyone agreed with Issei's plan. Although Michael thought about what he would do with the prayers. But the final question was. Transformation. What was it about? But the best thing was seeing that Issei thought of a very good strategy. But everyone came out of their thoughts when Issei said he was leaving. "Yes, excuse me, I'll be busy tonight. Issei, we can talk." Issei looked and saw that Rias was the one who called him. "Sorry Rias, but not tonight. I want to rest." And Issei falsely yawned. Issei smiled and said goodbye. As he walked out the door. "I'm surprised the Tokyo faction didn't come. Well, it'll be for another day when I'll see those beauties." And Issei finally left. Issei left quickly. He walked to the parking lot and got into his car. Before moving forward. Two silhouettes stood in front of the cart. Blocking his way and even Issei frustrated because he only had 30 minutes. "I hope this is worth it, Haruko monkey," he said getting out of the vehicle. Issei Dragonstar. It was nighttime at the Luxury. Issei had arrived and luckily for him more than 10 models were waiting for him in the club's VIP room. Issei smiling on his way. The women danced and the men drank. Issei took small steps and people moved aside. He never lacked drinks. Nor were the women in his chambers always within his reach. Issei took a swig of scotch on the rocks. While grabbing a girl and spinning her around. This slowly made its way to the VIP area. "Welcome boss," said the guard who was watching over the VIP area. Issei smiled and said. "Have a good night, order whatever you want from the bar, it's on the house," he said, walking up. "Thank you sir." He thanked us and went to the bar to order some drinks. Issei arrived at the VIP area and instead of heading towards the Hexi models, who he recognized among some. An example would be that 3 of them were not models. But idols. More exactly what he fantasized about when he still had that perverted side. Those dark days in his life. This one sat down. He just greeted everyone and sat down for a moment. Then he looked down from above as the Luxury was doing its best. "Issei-sama. Would you like to have a drink with us?" One of the girls approached him. Each model knew exactly who Issei was. Some understood that he was the owner of that bar. But others had already seen it in another part of the world. But they all thought that Issei was very attractive but very. When they saw him in the photo. They thought he was using filters. Worse when they saw him come through that big door. They were all excited to know that it was so attractive that it was hard not to look at it and want to eat it. Issei smiled and ordered more drinks. "This way," and said. "Hummer stay." He entered through a door. Everyone followed him with a blush because the good stuff was coming. 11 at night. Luxury ground floor. Lucifer was drinking while around him he saw a somewhat funny image on his cell phone. It was where his mother was being taken with father to receive her punishment for disobeying. "Haha mother, get ready. That universe I gave you was so you wouldn't play with fire. How will that boy fare? He must have arrived." I was about to say something when from upstairs I heard screams or rather moans. Lucifer smiled and said. "Wrong question. Ha ha ha. I think it's time for the good music to start. Listen to the opening music. It's really worth it." VIP room, top floor, Luxury. Issei was sitting and on his side in front of him were all the girls in an awkward position. Poking the aces. "Ladies, if you continue like this you won't win. You haven't even been able to take a piece of clothing off me. One more game and they'll just have to get naked," he said laughing. Seeing everyone almost naked. "Uo Issei-sama, you cheat. Ha ha ha. Reveal cards on wings 1, 2, and 3. We won." The girl said. "Now comply and take off your jacket and shirt. You win." And Issei took off said back garments. They were all spellbound when they saw the body. He could be a celebrity. I'm sure he would even be an idol or, as the Americans call it, a hex symbol. Issei just smiles and turns around. making everyone look redder. Last game, whoever wins takes it all. If I win, I'll take them with me, and if you win, I'll make your dream come true. Both sides laugh. The girls accept. And Issei just laughs flirtatiously. The next morning. Issei's room. Momo is horny. After the meeting. It was really worth it, Momoruko, said Issei, getting out of the vehicle. We decided, and despite everything that happened, we will not deny it anymore. We love you with all our hearts, and we are sorry for what we did to you back then, so please accept us back. We know who you are, and we don't care if we're the other ones. We just want to be by your side. So please accept our hearts. We promise we won't try to change you. So. And Issei walked towards them and did the following. The anecdote of the Kuo Journalism Club. Issei drank a sip of the best whiskey because his master was a smuggler of one of the best brands, and just a few days ago he started drinking, and boy did he love it. So much so that Issei began something similar, smuggling huge quantities from other countries to Japan. And it worked. Damn, it worked like a charm. When he started at the luxury bar, he was a bartender. He learned from customers and understood conversations about how to talk and flirt. If there was a girl you like, you shouldn't go for her right away. Approach her, but instead of talking to her, start with her friend. This way you'll make him jealous. And the last step. Say something stupid that will make your friend feel scared and walk away. That's where the magic begins. If she doesn't want to be with you, why not? I'm better. I'm prettier and have a better temperament. Why did it take you so long, darling? And from bartender to manager. From manager to owner, and from owner to CEO of many companies and hotel chains throughout the country. But how did the magic debut begin? Well. Cashback. Months ago, Kuo. Academia. Issei and Kurisu had already taken that little relationship to a point where Issei would skip classes and go wherever she was during her break time. It could be the gym, cafeteria, bathroom, empty hall, or something more risky, the teacher's office. But it was in a moment of carelessness that someone saw them and took evidence. Yes. The journalism club had a big scoop. Teacher involved in an affair with a student. And what a serious scoop. The dismissal of a teacher and the suspension or expulsion of a student for obscenity within the academy. Had it been published, the teacher could have gone to prison and the journalism club could have been elevated to the top. This would have allowed them to have privileges in the journalism specialization in the future. But if only that student who was in that romance hadn't been Hyoudou Issei. It would have turned out perfectly. But he went and prevented that from happening. But then a good blackmail scheme started that landed the 10 members of that club in bed. Well. Issei had called the journalism department. The reason? I didn't know, but it was the same. You're not going to deny it. What's the point of me arguing if you already have me in photo and video? And boy, did you look for all the points. Here I ask you. Because you only focus the camera more on me. Everything went silent. That I am. If you look closely at the moment when Kurisu and I are doing it, you'll give more focus to my friend. I'm wrong. Issei smiles, and from one moment to the next. Her bangs and her gaze made her the protagonist of a faucheter. And like magic. He eluded each and every one of them and made him do favors for them. And at some point they were all sharing his bed. I won't deny it. They were all virgins, and as for me, I already had the potential to drive them crazy in my bed. It was so much that driving them crazy with love for me made each and every one of them do whatever I wanted. From threesomes to orgies. There was a point where they went crazy with love and pleasure. I got what I wanted. A moment of pleasure and more apart. His heart. Present. Issei was in the Luxure. But on this occasion, being alone in his office. He was sitting in the highest and VIP area to which only he has access. He was sitting. On the other side were Momo and Raruko, somewhat uncomfortable PSSS the whole way. He didn't say a single word. Issei smiles and turns to look at them. They'll accept whatever I want, right? They both get up from their seats and slowly undress without any shame. Left only in extremely erotic lingerie. We are sorry, and we only have one wish. More like an ambition. Both summon necklaces. We are willing to be your slaves. If that means we can be together again. The three of us accept that and more. We don't care if you have a favorite among others. If just being with you makes us see that you have more. We don't care. And to show our loyalty and love for you. They both wipe some makeup off their stomachs. And a tattoo was shown. With an engraving. Property of Hyoudou Issei. Issei didn't think they would both go to this extreme just for him. He didn't care about either of them. Him. Having his own hex slaves who offered themselves wasn't a bad idea. Issei took the leash from their collar and pulled them to his legs and made them sit on them. In that case, from now on, there will only be one man for you. My word is the law. Do my slaves understand? Both smiling. Isen. Issei sama. Issei bares his chest. To demonstrate it we will do it here and now. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown in left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.